mother. I am a mother to 4 black children in America, one of whom is 18 years old. And when I saw the murder of George Floyd, I hurt like a mother would hurt. And on yesterday, when I heard there were rumors about violent protests in Atlanta, I did what a mother would do. I called my son and I said, "Where are you?" I said, "I cannot protect you, and black boys shouldn't be out today."
I come here today to talk about how I feel, and I feel like that we are treated differently than other people, and I don't like how we're treated, and just because of our color doesn't mean anything to me. I believe that...
You're doing great. You're doing a great job.
And don't stop. Do not stop.
We are black people, and we shouldn't have to feel like this. We shouldn't have to protest because y'all are treating us wrong. We do this because we need to and have rights.
Those are the sentiments echoed by so many in our nation and around the world today. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this iWoman Report. I'm Cathleen Trigg-Jones. The White House is on lockdown. Our nation is in the middle of a war on corona and race. And many in Hollywood, including Taylor Swift, is going head-to-head with President Trump over Twitter. What is going on in our world? We've got a really busy show today, so let's dive right into it. Here are our top stories in 60 seconds. Well, you've seen the unbelievable images. The Secret Service has put the White House on lockdown as fiery protests erupt across the country. At the center of the outrage is the police killing of George Floyd, a black man who died at the hands of a white police officer who pinned him to the ground with his knee for 8 minutes as he pleaded for his life. Protesters are outraged over a tweet by President Trump calling the protesters thugs and stating when looting starts, the shooting starts. Well, the officers involved were fired, and the officer accused of killing Floyd, Derek Chauvin, has been charged with third-degree murder. But outraged protesters, actors, political leaders, and everyday people around the world want to know why he wasn't arrested immediately.
A black man was just murdered in cold blood in the streets, stateside, again, while saying that he can't breathe. That's a continuous cycle going on. And although I don't live in the States, but I'm black, that.
To watch Mr. Floyd be murdered in a video at a time when we're all so sad to begin with. It's always tragic. It has always been tragic.
Why is the man who killed George Floyd not in jail? If you had done it, or I had done it, we would be behind bars right now.
And that's a good place for us to start this iWoman Report that is dedicated to getting to the bottom of this civil rights race war that's being waged in our country. People are angry. Why wasn't there immediate action taken against the officer seen pressing his knee against Floyd's neck for 8 minutes while he is heard pleading, "I can't breathe"? Witnesses can be heard begging the officer to stop. Why wasn't that officer and all of his partners in crime who stood and watched and did nothing to stop him arrested? George Floyd was essentially executed, given the death penalty without a trial for alleged check fraud. Whatever happened to innocent until proven guilty? And this is a pattern that we have seen all too often, and that is why people, white and black, are outraged. I want to play a clip by Tamika D. Mallory, a social justice activist who drove all the way to Minnesota with her co-founders of the Until Freedom movement, which sums up what many are feeling tonight.
This is not just a few cops doing things across the country. This is not a good cop versus bad cop situation. This is Ahmaud Arbery being shot down by white men on the streets of Georgia. Breonna Taylor being killed in her home. This is in New York City, where we were until freedom. We were just in New York fighting the police officers who, in the name of social distancing, were damn near killing black young people on our streets. This is a coordinated activity happening across this nation. And so we are in a state of emergency. Black people are dying in a state of emergency. We cannot look at this as an isolated incident. The reason why buildings are burning are not just for our brother George Floyd. They're burning down because people here in Minnesota are saying to people in New York, to people in California, to people in Memphis, to people all across this nation, enough is enough.
I don't agree with the looting. I don't agree with setting buildings on fire. But as Tamika said, it's just too much. This is a state of emergency. We haven't even gotten over Ahmaud Arbery's manhunt-style execution yet, just a few weeks ago. And why does it take a black man with a Harvard degree, an innocent bird watcher like Christian Cooper, being falsely accused of threatening a white woman walking her dog in Central Park, to finally make the point that a race war is being waged against black men and boys in our country?
Please call the cops.
I'm going to tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life.
At some point, she decided that, I'm going to play the race card, I guess.
And that brings us to our question of the day. Amy Cooper, the investment banker that you saw in that video calling police, lost her job and her dog, which she had to surrender back to the animal shelter that she adopted him from. But should she have been charged criminally for making a false claim to police? Answer yes or no on our iWoman Instagram page or right here on the screen. I want to hear your thoughts on this one, everyone. Back to our top story, though. Blacks continue to be the go-to, the scapegoat, the target of false accusations by whites. In another incident in Miami, a mother is seen on camera heartlessly pushing her autistic son into a lake to his death, and then blaming it on two black men who she claimed carjacked them. And she very well could have gotten away with it, except the whole thing was once again caught on surveillance camera.
We love our life. We love Alejandro. And we not agree with whatever they said about my wife. It's not real. And we can talk after that.
When are we as a nation just going to admit that we have a serious problem that is as big of a threat to the lives of innocent citizens as the coronavirus is in our country? And let me be very clear, not all whites are the problem or think this way, but it is up to all whites and blacks to do something about it. Let's bring in Dr. Pamela Newkirk, a Pulitzer Prize-winning author and professor at NYU.
Pamela Newkirk is a professor of English at New York University here in New York City, and she's written a book called Diversity, Inc. This has been a passion and a problem that she has been studying and writing about for many years. So thank you so much for joining us today. This is a really difficult climate that we're in right now as far as race relations.
Yes, it's been difficult for quite a while, but it seems like the past week or so, it's sort of like bubbling up in a way we haven't seen for quite some time.
It's almost every day. Every single day you wake up, you think that it can't get worse, and then there's another story. There was Ahmaud Arbery. Then right after that, there was the other young man whose name is slipping me right now, who was in his car running from police and got gunned.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. And we almost forgot about that because now you have the George Floyd. There's just been this pile on and with Amy Cooper, and it's all happened in what, a couple of weeks.
Yes, right. Why do you think that is? Is this because of the tensions due to Corona and everyone being sheltered in, or is this really due to a bigger
I think it's a bigger issue, and I think it's an issue that's long been with us. But because of social media and because of the ability of all of us to now be journalists, right, to have cameras and phones and video, and so it could spread a lot more quickly. But obviously, we know that what happened with Amy Cooper in Central Park is something that, I mean, I wrote about it in my last book about the series of other episodes that are very similar to that, where a Black person is just being accused of doing something simply by being, by standing, by walking, by running, by driving. So that's an old narrative that, you know, that's just the latest installment of that kind of episode. And then the same is true with George Floyd. I mean, we've seen, how many times have we seen similar incidents? Unfortunately, there's nothing new about these incidents. The only thing I think that's so striking right now is that we're in a more fraught racial climate due to who the president is. He stoked a lot of these racial tensions that, as I said, had been bubbling beneath the surface all along, and now they're just in full view.
And all I keep thinking about is, what if there was no camera, and how many times?
Well, how many, right? How many Black men particularly are in jail today for something that happened years ago that they were completely innocent of, but you know, there wasn't the video to prove it.
Right. It just is, it's heartbreaking. It really is. And I think by the same token, I feel good that we're finally exposing it. It's no longer our imagination. We see these things very clearly. But this is institutional racism. This isn't something, right?
No, it's institutional. And I mean, I think that the Amy Cooper episode in particular showed you just how knowledgeable she and many whites are of the way that race operates, because she threatened that, I'm going to call the police and say an African-American man was attacking me. She knew by saying an African-American man that already pit the state against this Black man.
Right. It was already ingrained in her mind that was even a possibility. I would not, if someone Black or white, and I have a dog and I walk my dog in Central Park.
Right.
If someone, I might be a little embarrassed if someone had to call me on the fact that I don't have them on a leash. However, the thought would never cross my mind to call the police on a white man and say, I'm going to call the police and say a white man is threatening my life. The thought would never even cross my mind.
And it wouldn't work that way for you, even if it did cross your mind, because race is weaponized in a very particular kind of way. And she knew just how it worked. You know, we had just seen the video of George Floyd, who, you know, the police were called for some, you know, nonviolent incident he was involved in. And, you know, within minutes, his life is snuffed out. And that could have easily happened to the gentleman in Central Park.
Right. No question. Well, I have to say, as a mother of an African-American son who I'm about to send off to college, I'm scared to death.
Yeah.
And I fear, my biggest fear is that I've made him scared, so that our boys really don't even know how to respond. We've gone so far in one direction to teach them what to do if they're ever caught in a situation with police, that they may just very well panic or look suspicious or look really scared.
And that's the irony of this, is that the African-American male, it has been depicted as the boogeyman when they're the ones who are preyed on by society.
You know, if you could magically come up with a recipe or a cure to racism, what would that be?
I think education. I think this country has failed miserably when we look at the ways in which people of all races are educated about the history and legacy of race in this country. I think if starting in kindergarten, that we were really taught the full history of America, with the good, the bad, and the ugly, you know, the contributions of many people over centuries, you know, this sort of lopsided narrative that suggests that everyone else is a taker and whites have like kind of created this utopia and everyone else is just, you know, a hanger-on, when everyone contributed to this amazing mosaic. And I think all of the ways in which America has become America, until everyone kind of shares in this collective history and the knowledge of this collective history, I think we're going to continue to live with the stereotype of race in this country and not with the reality of race in this country.
Well, I pray that that we will make education a priority. Thank you so much, Dr. Newkirk. And let's hold that book up one more time. I want to make sure that everybody grabs a copy of Diversity, Inc. Congratulations, and congratulations to your baby girl graduating from MIT. Yay!
Thank you
Girl
so
power.
much.
Girl
Yeah.
power.
And good luck to your son in college.
Thank you so much. God bless you, and we'll see you again soon.
You can see Dr. Newkirk's full interview on our iWoman YouTube channel. As most will agree, change has to start at the top. And Taylor Swift is not afraid to go head-to-head with President Trump, tweeting, "After stoking the fires of white supremacy and racism your entire presidency, you have the nerve to feign moral superiority before threatening violence. When the looting starts, the shooting starts." The pop icon tagged the president in the post to her 84 million followers, adding, "We will vote you out in November." Well, unfortunately, what we are witnessing is a 400-year-old problem in our country that cannot be fixed overnight. It's something when you live in a free world that prides itself on being a democracy, yet only one half of our citizens feel protected. You know we have a serious problem on our hands when people like Denzel Washington feel the need to get out of his car in the middle of a busy street to step between a potentially violent scene between the police and a homeless black man in LA to help avoid another tragedy. Now, the officer that sparked the Minneapolis protesting was arrested, and so were the men who hunted down Ahmaud Arbery like an animal. Okay. But that solves nothing. Why wasn't action taken immediately? Why hasn't the mindset changed? And why is there so much hatred towards black men and boys in particular in our country? And how many other cases and false accusations have ended tragically that were not caught on camera? As the mother of an African-American boy, I join you, Mayor Keisha Bottoms, in feeling sick to my stomach every single time my son leaves the house. We're in trouble, America. And while I'm against all the looting and the violent protesting and fires that we're seeing play out in cities across the country, because I do believe it sends the wrong message, I honestly believe that protesting is needed to wake up our leaders. I pray that some good will eventually come from all of this negativity. But it cannot and will not happen unless we all band together and make a conscious decision to put our egos and hundreds of years of programming aside and do everything in our power to fix it. That's going to do it for this iWoman report. Everyone, please stay healthy, stay happy, and stay safe as I leave you tonight with this gut-wrenching song that no 12-year-old should ever have to sing.
I'm a young black man doing all that I can to stand. Oh, but when I look around and I see what's being done to my kind, every day I'm being hunted as prey. My people don't want no trouble. We've had enough struggle. I just wanna live. God protect me. I just wanna live. I just wanna live.